Okay, Rabbi Sai. So this year is sponsored Le'iloi Nishmas Yeshua ben Shimon David. May our learning be causing aliyah to Neshama, to Nafshe, Yisroel, B'Sorah Chaim. And we appreciate all sponsorships. Please go to, send an email to afine, A-F-I-N-E, at ohr.edu for this opportunity, which no one wants to miss. Okay, so the Bride of Frankenstein, right? So we all know the story of Frankenstein. That the monster, Frankenstein is a scientist, right? He's a scientist. He's not the monster. So Frankenstein was looking for a helpmate, sort of like Adam. He wanted a helpmate, and Frankenstein promised to create a bride for him, but then he backed out. So the monster killed basically everyone. Killed his family, killed his friends. And then there was a sequel, a movie that was a sequel. It was the first sequel ever made, actually. That's why it's very famous. It was one of the first, because there was a Frankenstein movie. In 1935, there was the Bride of Frankenstein, which was a sequel. And basically, make a long story short, the scientist at the end of the sequel does make a bride, but then when the bride is introduced to the monster, she said, "You are ugly, man. I don't want nothing to do with you." And the bride rejects the monster. The bride, who herself is a monster, says the monster is so ugly, and basically the monster ends up killing the bride. I love happy endings. So that's the story of the Bride of Frankenstein. Now, what does this have to do with the Bride in China? Well, you'll see that it has a lot to do with it. So,
is she really dead?
We concentrated the last 10 shiurim, more or less, on the issue of the donor. About, is a donor dead or not? Based on whether he's dead or not, we were allowed to take out the heart to help the recipient, right? That's what it's all about. It's all about a heart transplant. And we want to save the recipient, because if he gets a new heart, he can live for many years. The question is, well, you can't kill the donor in order to save the recipient. Even if the donor only has a couple of hours of life. But you're now kill Chayesha. You cannot kill someone even to save someone else for hundreds of years. That's the halacha, right? So that's what we concentrated on, is the donor dead and alive? And we will return to this maybe next week. But right now we're talking about the recipient. There's actually a big problem with the recipient too. The recipient is alive. His brain, everything is working. He doesn't got a good heart. In many heart procedures, including bypass, what they actually have to do is they take out the heart and they tinker with it. Sometimes it's in the chest. Sometimes they take it out. So we say, how do they do that? They call it ECMO. They have a certain machine that does the job of the lung and the heart. So seemingly, the recipient is alive, and he'll live. He's got a heart, so he can live for a couple more months at least. We want to put in a better heart. Seemingly, according to the Chacham Tzvi, that the source of life is the heart. How do we take out the recipient's heart for, like, say, half an hour? You murdered him. Because according to the Chacham Tzvi, everything is about the heart. Source of life, you can't live without a heart. You're not alive without a heart. So seemingly, you have just committed murder in order to save the recipient's life, right? So seemingly that should not be allowed. You got the issue? Oh, so the G'dayla, you would think. So first of all, we have to get that it's mutter. It has to be mutter, obviously. But the G'dayla grapple with this problem. How are you allowed to murder someone? According to Halacha, you would take out the recipient's heart. You're murdering him. He has no heart. And don't tell me, well, he's on the ECMO, so the ECMO is like his heart. No, we're going that way. We were going with the Shita that sometimes some outside machine is not considered like the heart. That's what we said, the ventilator is not like the lungs. We are going that, no. An outside machine is not considered like he has a heart. So you took away his heart. You have murdered him, according to Chacham Tzvi. Oh. So, we're going to give 4 or 5 answers to this problem. The first answer is going to be like this. The basic answer is, since he will be brought back to life, it's not going to be considered murder. And we're going to make a differentiation. The first way to understand is like this. You know what? You killed him. He was dead. You, doctor, murdered him. But since he comes back to life, since he's resurrected, so retroactively, we're going to look at it as if he is, not that he didn't die, he did die, but you're not culpable for murder. You're not culpable for murder. But the distinction has to be very clear. It is true that he died. It is true that he died, but since somehow or other he comes back to life, somehow or other the murder aveira, the sin of murder, is absolved. For example, let's say you kill someone, and you have the power of Tchias HaMesim. So no one's going to say if you kill someone and you do Tchias HaMesim that he didn't die. He definitely died. There's no question he died. But since you have the power of Tchias HaMesim, the bottom line is the same person that was alive at 9 o'clock. Okay, you killed him for an hour, but now he's back alive at 10 o'clock. So since he's alive again, we cannot say you did murder because the same guy's around. You got that? That's going to be our first understanding. So, the Chayra, we have a raya from the Gemara Megillah just exactly about this case. That if you murder someone, I can't, and you somehow other bring him back to life, even though you did murder him, but since bottom line is the same person's around still, he gets absolved. This is the thing that you murdered we sort of forget about. Why? Because we have the famous Gemara in Megillah. We have the same Megillah that Reb Zera was invited to a party on Purim by Rabbi. And what did Rabbi do? He killed him. And then Rabbi did Tchias HaMesim. Fine. The next year, Reb Zera Rabbi invites Reb Zera back. It was a real party last year. You want to come again? So what did Reb Zera say back? Oh, not every year will a nest happen. Not every single year will a nest happen. So what did Reb Zera say back? It seems Reb Zera says back, listen, Rabbi, it was a great party last year, and I didn't mind dying, and the Tchias HaMesim thing was really cool. I would do it again this year. It's just that maybe this year you're not going to be so successful in the Tchias HaMesim. I can't rely on that. But wait 1 minute. I don't understand. Even if we say that Rabbi knew for sure he could do Tchias HaMesim again, but he's a murderer. Why did Rabbi Zera say, Rabbi, even if you could bring me back alive, but you are a murderer? Because, let's say at 9 o'clock, Rabbi killed him, shechted him, for an hour he's dead. Even if you resurrect me at 10 o'clock, you did the sin of murder. So, it seems Rabbi Zera say, Rabbi, we're always going to say, I was drunk, I'm an oinus for murder? No. That's called manslaughter, at least. No. There's no such thing. No such thing. It can't be that you're drunk and, it's not my fault I murdered you. No. So if Rabbi Zera's only issue was he's afraid Rabbi won't be successful, seemingly we have a raya from here that if you murder someone and you have the power of Tchias HaMesim, even though you did murder him, you're not able to tirtzah. Somehow other, if he's alive again later on, somehow other, it's like we don't consider, even though you murdered him, we don't consider you a murderer. You don't get the law of like tirtzah. Okay? Open proof, right? You can't go wrong, right? But the problem is, it's not such an open proof because we know that the Marital learns the Gemara here is totally different. The Marital learns here that Rabbi did not kill Rabbi Zera. He just inebriated him to a state of a deep stupor, and he was actually got very sick. And basically, Marital says, it says shechted, it means he poured wine down his throat, right? The wine goes down to the throat. Basically, according to Marital, no one died here. There's no Tchias HaMesim, so obviously there is no proof. So again, we're still back to our question. If you murder someone, and he's 100% dead, if you do Tchias HaMesim, is it called you over like tirtzah, or somehow or other we sort of absolve you or make believe you never murdered him? So according to the simple pshat of the Gemara, we have a raya, but according to Marital, it's still questionable. So, chayra, we could say this issue is going to be machlokes between the Birkei Yosef. Who's the Birkei Yosef? The Chidah. And the Kavit Shiurim, who's the Kavit Shiurim? And the Igros Maisha, we always have to quote him, right? We can say it's going to be a three-way machlokes. Okay. Why is that? Because the Birkei Yosef, the Chidah, has a Chakira. He says, he learned the Gemara in Megillah Pashtus, that Reb Zera actually got killed, and then he woke up. He wanted to know, did Reb Zera have to remarry his wife? Reb Zera, when he woke up on Shushan Purim or Matzi Purim, did he come home to his wife and say, did he have to say Hariyat Mukdesh Shli or not? Right? A second marriage. Or no? Do we say, bottom line, since he is back on track, since he woke up again, resurrected? No. He doesn't have to remarry her, right? So, what would be the Shaila? We can word the Shaila many different ways, but we're going to word it, the Shaila is Reb Zera, the new Reb Zera, is he considered the same person? If we say, when Reb Zera died, and had a hiatus for an hour, and then came back, if he says he's the same person, then seemingly he wouldn't have to remarry his wife. But if you say Reb Zera after resurrection is a new improved Reb Zera, or a different Reb Zera, or maybe we'll call him a Roger, whatever, he's just a different person entirely, seemingly, then he would have to remarry his wife, right? That's what we're going to set up. You can set it up many different ways. This is the way we're going to set it up. So, the Birkei Yosef says he had the open raya from a Yeshami. Oh, do we have a Gemara Gittin here? We have a strange Gemara in Gittin and an even stranger Yeshami. The Gemara in Gittin says like this: a guy says to his wife, "I am divorcing you from now. If I don't come home in 12 months." Went sailing somewhere. So basically, everything's in limbo until 12 months, right? Right. The Gemara says, and what happens if he dies? He died at 6 months. We happen to know he died at 6 months. So seemingly, you shouldn't have to wait the 12 months. Because you know in 6 months he's not coming. You know in 6 months he ain't coming here. And when you're talking about a me'achshav, we're talking about a retroactive get. Of course, you're going to ask me, what's the difference? He's dead anyway. Well, the difference will be for Yibam. I don't want to get involved. There is a difference for Yibam. If between the 1 and 6 months, there was a if there's a chalitza issue, right? That's basically it's a chalitza. So that would be the difference whether the woman is mutter because of a divorce or whether the woman is mutter because of death. If it's because of death, there would be a chalitza yibam issue, or koyin, those type of issues. So let's make it simple. That's what we want to know. Me'achshav, if I don't come back home in 12 months, so you have to wait for 12 months. But he died at month number 6. Do you say she can get married right away? Or do you say you have to wait until the 12 months? Right? So the Gemara basically says that you don't have to wait. You can get married right away. Basically, that's what the Gemara says. You don't have to wait. Meaning you don't got to do a chalitza. Okay, that's what it means. You don't got to do a chalitza. You can get married right away without a chalitza. Fine. The Yerushalmi says something enigmatic. Yerushalmi says, no, you have to wait. Why? Because we're afraid maybe a nest will happen and he'll be resurrected. That's what Yerushalmi says. Rabbi Yossi Amar Asuli Nasei Ani Omer Nasaloi Nisa L'Choyer. Maybe a nest will happen and he'll be resurrected. Says the Birkei Yosef. What do you see from here? You see from here that a dead husband that comes back to life is considered still married to his original wife, to the same wife. That's what the Birkei Yosef wants to bring out from the Yerushalmi. Because if the Yerushalmi is worried about that maybe the husband will be brought back to life, so what do you see? That he's considered still married to her if he's brought back to life. Okay? So, according to the rest of the way the Birkei Yosef sets it up, the Birkei Yosef sets up, the Yerushalmi says, since we're worried about that he'll come back to life, that's why the wife is awful. Because if he comes back to life, he's still married. But the Bavli, the way the Birkei Yosef, I would say the Yerushalmi would say, no, we don't care if she comes back to life. But the Birkei Yosef said, no, the Bavli also cares if we come back to life. It's just that it's such a bizarre thing that should be tchiz, we don't got to worry about it. Okay? Now, there are many issues with this Yerushalmi. I can't get into it because if you're worried about someone going back being resurrected, then and Almana shouldn't be able to get married. Right? So there are major problems with Yerushalmi because it's too complicated. But he just, trust me, I'm quoting the Birkei Yosef the right way. He quotes the Yerushalmi that based on the Yerushalmi's understanding that we're worried that the husband will be resurrected and therefore the woman can't get married. We see that when a man dies, he's resurrected. It's considered like he was always married to his wife. Okay, so we're going to say that seemingly we could say, according to Birkei Yosef, since you don't have to get remarried, that means you're the same person. The person that got killed and took a break for an hour and that got resurrected is the same person that got killed. So A got killed, A woke up. A got killed, A woke up, so therefore A doesn't have to remarry his wife. A got killed, A woke up, you're not considered a murderer. Even though he was dead for the hour, but since A woke up again, somehow or other we absolve you, or it's not considered like you actually murdered him, because bottom line is A is still around, right? Fine. But if we look at the Rabbi Chanan, we're going to get a different, a little different view. Why?
If for whatever reason his wife decides to get married in that short interim time, do you get more than married then?
Yeah. Like I said, the Yerushalmi is a big problem for other reasons. But yes, that's what it comes out. According to this, yes, it comes out, yes. So, Rabbi Chanan Wasserman quotes a famous Gemara. This is about the essentials of Judaism, what he's talking about here. The famous Gemara in Nida. The Gemara in Nida says, you know what? You could bury a dead person in Kloim, right? What tachrichen are shrouds or wind wraps, wind sheets, right? Tachrichen are shrouds. So it says that you can use Kloim. And Rabbi Yosef says, you could bury people in Kloim? And Rabbi Yosef says, Zoysameres mitzvahs betelas la'aseh lavai. We see from here that la'aseh lavai, there are no mitzvahs. Because how can you bury a dead guy in Kloim? He's going to wake up la'aseh lavai. He's going to have Kloim on him? That's not nice. He's going to be doing a Avera right when he wakes up. That's a bad start. So it says of Yosef, since the Gemara says you can bury a dead guy in Kloim, it must be in the world to come there is no mitzvahs. So first Rabbi Chanan asks the question, wait 1 minute. Isn't it one of the tenets of Judaism that the Torah will never change? I think we say it's one of the Yugimel Ikrim. One of the Yugimel Ikrim is that the Torah will never change. The Torah is constant. So how in the world could the Gemara bring down here that la'aseh lavai, there will be no mitzvah? So he gives two answers. One is sort of a little bit of a cap out, and one is a little bit is more interesting. The cop out answer is basically the Torah's not going to change. When Moses came down from Sinai, he said that I knew you were going to be that. When Moses came down from Sinai, he said mitzvahs are constant until la'aseh lavai. So nothing changed because it was already pre-built into the Torah that it was only given up until 6,000 years or whatever you want to say la'aseh lavai is. So what was the question? How could we say the Torah is there's not going to be any Torah? Not going to be any Torah, no mitzvahs, la'aseh lavai. Isn't that against the Gimel Ikrei Emuna that it says the Torah never changed? No, the answer is when the Torah was given, that's what it was said. It was said that it was only going to be given for a certain amount of time, so it's not called you change the Torah. Okay. Like I said, very unsatisfying answer. The second answer, he says, no. What the Gemara means here doesn't mean that. La'aseh lavai, there will be mitzvahs. There will be mitzvahs la'aseh lavai. But only for people who are born la'aseh lavai. People who are created la'aseh lavai. But when it says over here, la'aseh lavai is no mitzvah, it means someone who already died and is resurrected, he won't have mitzvahs. Just once you die and you're resurrected, you're not only a different person, you're just a different you're a different entity. You're just something else, right? So it comes out like this. First of all, I always thought la'aseh lavai, people are not going to be born. It's just everyone's going to be like with wings and angels and I don't know, eating pizza all day. I don't know what exactly what's going to be Las Lavai, but there's going to be that's what I thought. But he seems to the Rabbi Chana implies in the world to come, Las Lavai. We're not talking about it in Shemaim. We're talking about when there's going to be a new type of setup here in this world. There are going to be two types of people: people who are resurrected and people who are born. The people who are resurrected, they don't got to do mitzvahs. They're having anchovy pizza, and they're, no mitzvahs for them. Right? No mitzvahs for them. And the people who are born lost in love, they will have to keep mitzvahs. Right? So, according to this pshat, what are we seeing over here? This understanding is, when someone dies and is resurrected, he is a totally new. He's not only a different person. He's not even a person. He's something else entirely. So it comes out according to this understanding, which is quite amazing. Reb Zera would not have to wear tefillin ever again. Reb Zera in Megillah had no mitzvahs anymore. Hard to believe, but
why is he inviting you to a porn
No, that's a good question. No, a party, the party. Come on, everyone's got their principle. The party, the party. But it comes out the Mesim that were resurrected by Yecheskel, right? We all know this, right? The valley of the dry bones, right? Right. So we all know they were resurrected. So those guys will not have to do any more mitzvahs, right? So whichever shot you go, it's like the first shot. Lost in love, there's no mitzvahs. That's for everyone. Isn't that against the Torah? No, it was built into the Torah. According to the second shot, lost in love, there's no mitzvahs. It's nothing to do with not going against the Torah. A resurrected person is not a person. He's something else. He's a different entity. Forget about being the same person. It's just like a whole different entity. Oh. So he says here like this. He brings down here, based on the Red Baz, we all know the Red Baz, that we all know there are going to be two Tchias HaMesim. Right? That's what Red Baz holds. When there's going to be two Tchias HaMesim? There's a Tchias HaMesim when Mashiach comes, and then there's going to be the Tchias HaMesim of the Yom Din HaGadol, right? So who's going to wake up at the first Tchias HaMesim? Only the Tzaddikim. Only the Tzaddikim. Moshe, Aaron, maybe some people went to Ohr Somayach. Only the big Tzaddikim. And the rest of the folks, they're waking up in the second Tchias HaMesim, which is the Yom Din HaGadol. It comes like this. According to now, Mashiach is not Las Lavi. That's sure. When the Gemara says here Las Lavi, there are no mitzvahs. It definitely doesn't mean Mashiach times. It definitely means kingdom come. I mean, that definitely means when there's a whole new world order, right? What we call the millennial, whatever. Something totally different. Something totally different. So something totally different, right? Fine. Okay. So let's go like this. Let's go. Moshe and Aaron, Mashiach comes. He's here. Moshe and Aaron are out of the grave. Do they have to put on tefillin? According to the first shot, they would. Because the first shot just said, La'asid lavai, no one has to. La'asid lavai, no one has to mitzvah. But La'asid lavai is not when Mashiach comes. La'asid lavai would be, let's say, 500 years later. So, okay, Moshe and Aaron woke up. Fine, but it's not La'asid lavai, it's Mashiach time. They got to wear tefillin. But according to the second shot, there's no difference between La'asid lavai. There's no difference in time. It's just a question of someone who died, when he wakes up, is a different type of being. So then Moshe and Aaron will not have to put on tefillin, even when Mashiach. This is Rabbi Chana Wasserman, right? Pretty interesting stuff. That's going to be nafkamina. The nafkamina would be Moshe Aaron, when they wake up, when Mashiach comes, would they have to put on tefillin or not? According to the first shot, yes. According to the second shot, no. According to the second shot, no. Oh. So l'chayra says Rabbi Chana, l'chayra it seems is a riot if the second shot is right. That the pshat is not that there's special dispensation given to the time zone, the era of Las Lavai, but the dispensation is actually given to dead people. That when they wake, they're considered different people. Why? Because let's look at the Gemara. What does the Gemara say? The Gemara says, don't put anyone in Kloyim. You can put everyone in Kloyim. Bury people in Kloyim. Why? Because La'asid Lavai, there's no mitzvah. Wait a minute. But maybe this dead guy's wake up at Mashiach time. What are we saying? You can put Kloyim on the dead guy. Why? Because La'asid Lavai is no mitzvah. But if you know La'asid Lavai means, when Yom Hadin HaGadol, but maybe this dead guy's gonna wake. Maybe the tzaddik. Maybe he's like Moshe Rabbeinu. Maybe he'll wake up with tzaddikim. Maybe he'll wake up when Mashiach is around. So if he wakes up when Mashiach is around, he's wearing kohen. L'chayr, we have a definitive raya from the Gemara that when it says la'asalavi mitzvah batal, it doesn't really mean la'asalavi. It doesn't use la'asalavi. You just have to do that. Once you're dead and you get back to life, you are a different entity. And therefore, Rabbi, according to this, wouldn't have to put on tefillin. And Cheskel's bones wouldn't have to put on tefillin. And when Moshe and Aaron wake up in Mashiach's time, wouldn't have to put on tefillin. So, if this is correct, Zanny has the sounds. If this is correct, it comes out, according to Rabbi Chanan, definitely a person who died and is resurrected miraculously would definitely have to marry his first wife, his wife again. It could be. That's a different issue. Maybe he can't even marry her, but definitely he definitely would have to remarry her because he's not the same person. He's a different entity, right? So the chayra according to Chanan is pashut. Okay, that's the kind of point. Maybe this new entity could get married, but even if this new entity could get married, we're going to say he'll have to do a new marriage. Why? Because the woman was married to entity one. This is a new total entity. Forget about being a different person. It's like a whole different entity, right? And l'chayra, according to Chanan, if you murder a person and then you manage to resurrect him, you're a murderer because you murdered A. This ain't A. This is something else entirely. So you're a murderer. Who cares if he's resurrected? If you say you killed A and A woke up. So even though you're a murderer, but we could look the other way because bottom line he's here anyway. Big deal. They took a little rest for an hour. So you're not called a murderer even though you murdered him. But according to Rabbi Chanan, avade, you're called a murderer because it's a different person. You follow this? Great. Oh. So that's what comes out. According to the Birkei Yosef, A dies, little break, Chitzon Mesim, A, same person, so therefore you don't get remarried, and you're not called a murderer. According to Rabbi Chanan, A dies, little break, Superman wakes up, I don't know who this is, something totally different wakes up, and therefore no mitzvahs, and therefore new marriage, and therefore you are a murderer, because A is gone forever. Okay, now, what about Rav Moshe? So the Gemara in Bab Metzia has a story that I'm sure happens all the time to many of you guys. What's the story? The story is Rabbi Baravo met Eliyahu in the graveyard.
Oh yeah.
A Gentile graveyard. Why in the world is Rabbi Baravo in a graveyard or Eliyahu in a graveyard? I have no idea. But that's the story. Rabbi Baravo and Eliyahu are in a graveyard. And they're talking Torah over there about all different types of Torahs. And then he says, wait a minute. Rabbi Baravo says, wait a minute, Eliyahu Hanavi. Aren't you a Kohen? What are you doing in here? You started to be here, right? Because you know Eliyahu Hanavi is Pinchas. Yeah. So Pinchas is a Kohen, right? So Eliyahu berates him and says, don't you know? A Goyish cemetery has no tumas oil. I'm not touching the graves. He gets out of it. But he agrees to him. He says, yeah, you're right. In principle, there's a problem, but it's a Gentile graveyard. Atem Kriyim Adam, famous Atem Kriyim Adam. There's no tumas oil by a Gentile. Fine, great story, right? So then we have here, Tosh sets a question. Wait 1 minute. We have a story where Eliyahu resurrected a dead guy, right? The Navi, right? What did Eliyahu do? By the Ben Sarfit, that's the way you call it, Ben Sarfit. That was the story, right? You know the story? That Eliyahu resurrected a dead boy. Wait a minute, says Tyson. How did he do that? How did Eliyahu resurrect him? He laid on top of the boy, right? Prostrated on top of the boy, blew into him somehow or other, did sort of CPR, and he woke up. Frank Tyson, I don't understand. Eliyahu Navi, you're a Kohen. How did you touch the dead boy in order to resurrect him? That's Tyson's question. So Tyson answers, over there it's Pikuach Nefesh. Over there it's Pikuach Nefesh. Because at the end of the day, he resurrected the kid. So you're allowed to do any, except for the three cardinal sins. You're allowed to do what you're allowed to do. You're allowed to do any of it. That's Tyson answer. The question was, hey, Eliyahu Navi, you're a Kohen. So how are you resurrecting the dead? How are you prostrating or touching the dead? Pikuach Nefesh. So the simple reading of the Taisus, very good, you're ahead of the game. The simple reading of the Taisus is to save the boy. The boy's dead, so you want to make him alive. So Rav Moshe Feinstein says, no, you're not understanding this Tosfos. There is no, he says exactly what Shammai says. There is no way that we're talking about because we want to save the boy. There's no way that you could do an Aveira to resurrect the boy. The boy's dead. There ain't no mitzvah to resurrect a dead person. There's no pikuach nefesh. There's no chai behem. There's no loy saman al dam riecha. There is no mitzvah to save a dead guy. So there's no way Eliyahu would do an Aveira in order to save the dead guy. Maybe it's a nice thing, but definitely it's not a mitzvah. So what is the Tosfos talking about? Eliyahu did an Aveira because of pikuach nefesh. Who's pikuach nefesh? The dead guy, he's dead. So the Igros Moshe says, no, it must be the pikuach nefesh of Eliyahu Navi. That Eliyahu Navi would have been so depressed if he wouldn't be able to resurrect the boy, because he sort of promised the mother that she'll have a son, and he promised that he'll take care of the son. So Eliyahu Navi died. Now this makes no sense. Eliyahu Navi can't die. What do you mean? According to this Moshe, Eliyahu Navi didn't touch the dead boy to make the dead boy alive. He touched the dead boy because of the nefesh that Eliyahu Navi himself would die. But Eliyahu Navi can't die. He himself asked this question on himself. And he says, yeah, well, Eliyahu Navi felt that he would die. He was so depressed about it. And then he said, maybe the pikuach nefesh was for the mother, because the story there, the mother was very depressed. And since the mother was very depressed, if Eliyahu wouldn't be able to resurrect the boy, no, he knew. He saw the mother was crying and screaming over there. So Eliyahu knew that the mother was going to die. That's not chesed Shemayim. People commit suicide. People go crazy when they're sad. So Eliyahu was ascertained the fact that what? If he would have resurrected the mother would die. So now, so that's the way that Moshe learned. The pikuach nefesh is not the boy because he's dead. Now, the simple reading of Tosfos is definitely not that way. I mean, anyone else would read the Tosfos as we're talking about saving the dead boy. But I understand, Moshe seems right. You have a mitzvah to resurrect the dead boy. The chayra we could say is totally now machlokes. It has to be this way. If you say that when you resurrect a person, he's the same person that he was before, then it makes a little bit more sense to say that A is dead. There's A. He's dead. But you can bring A back. So if you can bring the same person back, it is called pikuach nefesh. Because it's the same guy. So we can hear a little bit that Moshe, not like Moshe. It must have been Moshe learned that when you bring back a person, it's someone else entirely. So A's dead. He's gone. Dead. Let's bring back someone else. Let me bring back someone else. Why should Eliyahu Navi become Tameh to bring back someone else? I mean, that's ridiculous. Well, let God bring back someone else. What is your business? So it makes more sense. What? It makes sense. It makes sense.
When he's alive, then there was a.
But it makes more sense that the head of the pikuach nefesh. It makes more sense to say that the head of the pikuach nefesh if it's the same guy who's going to wake up. So A died. I understand. You don't say the way I'm saying it, but it definitely makes a lot more sense to make this demarcation. If A, when he wakes up, is a different person, then Moshe's question is like to the jugular. It doesn't make no sense to say pikuach nefesh if A died to do pikuach nefesh to bring back B. What do they got to do? What do they got to do with anything? Right? But if you say A is the same person when he wakes up as when he died, then he cares a little bit better that there is pikuach nefesh. So it comes out that Moshe and Rabbi Chanan are in the same thing. Moshe and Rabbi Chanan would both say, when you kill someone and he gets up to Chisamesim, it's a different person. Hence they would say, you don't have to do mitzvahs anymore because different identity. Hence they would say, you have to get remarried. Hence they would say, you have to, it would be called murder. They would say, if you did this, even though you resurrected the guy afterwards, it's still considered murder because the person you killed is not here anymore, right? Oh, and hence we're back to our problem. If we say like this, if we say that when you kill A and you resurrect him, it's a new person, and hence it is considered murder, we're back to our problem. What's our problem? How do you take a heart out of the recipient and you put him at the heart on the table for half an hour? You killed him! Murdered! They're going to say, but he comes back, so since the same person comes back, so we don't really look at it like murder, even though he was dead for an hour or two. We don't look at it like murder. But that's only good if you learn that the same person comes back. But if you learn that when when the person comes back, it's a different person. So when he took out the heart, it was Henry. Took out a break. Harold came back. It's not on the bench. Let's haste. So you killed Henry. It's terrible. You're a murderer. Terrible, right? Okay. So we're stuck. So we are stuck over here. We got to find some type of heter. We got to find some type of heter.
The respirator is considered like it's a life?
We're not. We're talking about the Torah now. So let's give 2 or 3 answers. Let's give 2 or 3 answers. Answer number 1, which is the right answer, but it's a big kiddush. It's a big kiddush. We're going to have to say that our modality, I don't think is wrong. There is a concept, there's no question of the concept of someone dying and being dead and then doing tchis amesim. There is such a concept. And he was dead like a doorknob. He was dead. He's dead. And he's resurrected. There's no question. That's what happened by Reb Zera, and that's what happened by Elio, the boy of Elio. That's definitely what happened. But what are you going to say when a guy's heart stops and you do CPR? Are you going to say, tchis amesim, you don't got to put on the korban chanan? Good news, you don't got to put on tefillin anymore because you were dead, and you got to get remarried. Is anyone going to say by CPR it's considered a new person? No one's going to say that. Why? You say he did it. You say, right? We got to look at it like the neshama, right? The neshama. The neshama's like, oh Lord, your heart stopped. That ain't good. Maybe I should leave. You know? Wait a minute. Well, maybe there's gonna be. Maybe some of the Hatzal's gonna come. Maybe there's gonna be CPR. Let me hang around a little bit longer. So even though the heart stopped for a minute or 2, but the neshama doesn't leave yet. He's still waiting to see, is this over with? So is it over with? So that means he's not dead. That means so basically, now by CPR, it makes a lot of sense. The neshama doesn't leave. The neshama knows Hatzal is on the way. These guys are great. They're on the way. They're going to do the CPR. They're going to, crush break my rib cage, but they're going to keep me alive. And therefore the neshama sticks around. So it's not like he died and came back. He didn't die. The neshama didn't leave. Again, by Elianovi's boy, the neshama left. Rabbi Zera, the neshama left. Okay? But here's a big chiddush. Because over here we're taking the heart out. It could be sitting on a table somewhere in a different, for half an hour. So it's a big chiddush to say that the neshama knows all this and doesn't actually leave, because it foresees that even though the heart is not even in the body, that it's really doesn't leave yet, because it didn't die yet. I mean, so why don't you say that by every tchis amesim? Say the neshama never leaves because they know there'll be tchis amesim in 3,000 years. I mean, so I think the answer is was something supernatural or natural. When a person dies, yeah, the neshama knows it's tchis amesim, but you haven't checked your calendar. It hasn't happened for a long, long time. The neshama says, I'm out of here. Worry about with tchis amesim, I'll come back, right? I'll come back, whatever. So that's dead. With tchis amesim, like we're saying, according to Moshe, Rabbi Chanan, new person comes. It's still a new person. But something that's a natural phenomenon that science has developed, we could assume that the neshama says, okay, I ain't going nowhere yet. I see the heart over there. I know it's going to be put back in. I know it's going to be revived again. So, and it's all part of the natural phenomena. So he doesn't leave yet, even according to the Chacham Tzvi. So that's the problem. But it's a chiddush. It's a big chiddush. It's a chiddush. It's not I wouldn't say that naturally. I would say by CPR, I understand that's a couple of seconds, a couple of minutes. The heart's still there, keeping the same place, but the neshama's not going away yet. Because it's not like the heart's not there anymore. Or we got to go into the Chacham Tzvi. The main thing is the heart. The heart's still there. It's still working. It's going to work. It will work. What? Oh, Lord. Okay, but that's probably the reality. Meaning you hear the distinction? The first shot we were going was that he dies and he comes back. He's dead, he's murdered, you're murdered, but since he comes back, the same person comes back, so we don't really care that he was murdered. The new shot is that he was not, it's like he never died. We don't look at, the neshama never left. The first shot is the neshama left and comes back. This shot, I would attempt to say the answer is, based on the Gemara in Sanhedrin, you murdered him, you're right, you murdered him, no question. Doctor, when you take out his heart, you murdered him. That's it. You murdered him. That's it. But any murder that the patient gives license to, you're allowed to do. Now, let's get this straight. We gave many sure about this. A patient cannot say, kill me. A guy can't say, I want to commit suicide. That's not. But let's say in this very weird case, you're murdering someone to do a refuah. You hear that? A riddle. How can you murder someone to cure him? Right? That's what it'd be. You're murdering someone to cure him. So we already found the Gemara said it's very similar. What the Gemara said today, you're not. What happens if you cause your father to bleed? Chai misa. If you hit your father and you wound him, chai misa. But the Gemara says you could a son could operate or do a blood let his father. What do you mean? What are you doing? Chai misa. What are you doing? The Gemara says no. When it's for refuah, that sort of gives you a license to hit your father. Again, the chatchila we don't. But if there's the only doctor and the son doesn't, right? No question about it. So what do you see for here? When you're doing something for refuah, it gives you a heter. Meaning, according to this understanding, yes, you murdered him when you took him out. You murdered him when you took out the heart. It's murder. But since you're doing it for refuah, that gives you a heter to do it. Just like when you do some type of procedure on your father, that's it. You wound him. There's no question you wounded him. But refuah allows you to do it, right? So that would be my answer. Then I have another whole page here. We won't do that answer, it's too complicated. I just want to bring out this whole dilemma is only according to the Chacham Tzvi. Because according to the Chacham Tzvi, what's the definition of life? The heart. The heart is the source of life. No heart, you're dead. Heart. If you learn like the other Achrayim, as you recall, who fabulously say you could actually live without a heart, there's no problem. According to the Achrayim, the initial David, they said the main thing is the brain. So who cares you take out the heart? They took out the heart. Who cares? You can live without a heart. The whole issue is just according to the Chacham Tzvi. Or if you learn, like we said, the other shurim, as long as if you're moving a little bit, you're considered alive. So who cares you took out the heart? But there's still a lot of movement. Everything's working in the body because the ECMO, everything else is working. So the only problem is really based on the Chacham Tzvi. Now you have to come on to this. Rabbi Yitzchak, we have to finish. But we're talking about the recipient. Here. So bottom line is, in the USA, are you allowed to put yourself on a recipient list? Let's say you're the Charedim and you hold, like Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Orbach, like many others, you hold that to take out a heart out of a brain-dead person is murder. That's what you hold. To take a heart out of a brain-dead person is murder. So are you allowed to put yourself, but you're a recipient and you need a heart. Are you allowed to put yourself on a list in America? Right? So, it could be England too. So you would say, and I would say, of course not. No, of course not. Why not? Why would you allow to do it? They say, well, maybe the heart will be coming from a Gentile, and the doctor is a Gentile. So what? You can't allow a Gentile to murder for you. A Gentile's not a murder. You can't tell a Gentile to murder for you, right? If it's murder, it's murder. You can't tell a Gentile to murder. You cannot tell a Gentile to murder. No such thing. So seemingly, even in America, you can't do it. Seemingly. Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach had a huge chiddush, amazing chiddush. He had an amazing chiddush. What's his amazing chiddush? He says that the Gentile, even though the Haredim, let's call them, paskin is murder, the Gentiles are allowed to paskin that it's not murder. Meaning, usually, it's like this. Usually, when it comes to murder, Gentiles are actually more stringent. It's more stringent. For example, if a Jew does an abortion, it's murder, but you're not chayiv misa. If a Jew kills a treifa, it's murder, but you're not chayiv misa. If a Jew kills begrama, it's murder, but you're not chayiv misa. If a guy does abortion, he's chayiv misa. If a guy kills a treifa, he's chayiv misa. If a guy kills begrama, he's chayiv misa. Because really, all these things are murder. It's just the Jew, since it's a teeny bit, a little deviation, he's not chayiv misa, but it's murder. So it comes out really Gentile. In a Gentile, for a Gentile, it's actually more stringent, the law of murder. But says Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach about this issue, about whether a person is alive or dead, this issue the secular courts could decide for Gentiles, and the Gentiles could say, we go like secular courts. Why? Because the other issue is a sure murder. Abortion is a sure murder. I don't care what I don't care what the Democrats say. That's objective. That is objective. To kill a treifa is murder. To kill a baby is murder. To sue a government is murder. So Gentiles will get killed, right? But to decide what is death or not, since it's not so clear, it's amazing. Shlomo Zalman Auerbach says Gentiles could decide that brain death is considered dead, and even though us Haredim say not that way, but they could paskin, Gentiles a lot of paskin based on the secular courts, and therefore it is mutter for a Gentile to take out a heart from a brain dead person, and therefore you could put yourself on a recipient list, right? Okay. This is where are we holding? Okay, everybody. I'm not going to do this to you because it's very late. I know we started too late. We'll continue this next week. We'll talk more about the recipient because there are many other issues. Okay, you're in the USA. We said it's okay for a Gentile to kill a Gentile, but maybe the Jew, you don't know who the organ donor is going to be. Maybe it's going to be a Jew. Okay, you're in the USA, a big hospital, million people there, but maybe a Jew is going to be the organ donor. So even if you say a Gentile could kill a Gentile could take out a Gentile's heart. Okay, we said they could go court in secular court. Okay, but maybe it's going to be a Jew. So you're back to square one. Okay? So Buli Neder, so this gets involved in a big sugya of Roiv and Kavua, and this gets into very luscious things which I will not get involved. But, so you say in Israel, for sure you can't put yourself on a recipient list, right? Sure, in Israel the doctor's Jewish, the donor's Jewish, but if you think about it, it actually makes no sense. It makes sense in Israel you can put yourself on also, because you got the donor Jewish guy. He thinks it's okay. A lot of rabbis think he's okay too. Okay, it's okay. So now, that heart is going to be taken out anyway. It's going to be put in Harold the Chiloni, Henry the Tziyoni, or Yisrael the Haredi. That heart is out. It's out. It makes no difference. It's going out. So why should the Haredi say, oh, I'm not going to put myself on the list because, it's murder. It's happening anyway. It's happening anyway. So why not put him on the list?
I'm not from the dead guy.
What?
I'm not from the dead guy.
That's not the issue. That's for sure. That's the Hana, Pikuch Nefesh. There's no issue. The issue is just murder. The guy. So on the contrary, even in Israel, it makes sense that you should put yourself, a Haredi should put yourself on the list. Because even if you hold this murder, but it's going to happen anyway. So what's the difference? Right?
What do the prisoners to take the body?
Right? What's the difference? So why should not Haredi put himself on the list? Oh, you're facilitating murder. I'm not facilitating anything. It's going to happen anyway. It makes no difference. It's going to happen anyway. So on the contrary, even in Israel, it makes sense. So this right. Oh. So what are you going to say? So they have a whole what? Well, what's lifnei? There's no lifnei. It's going to happen anyway. Nothing happened. It makes no. It makes you did nothing. You did absolutely nothing to facilitate in any way. It's not it's not Messiah. You did nothing. Everything else is going to happen. It's just a question of going here into Harold, Henry, or Yisrael. So, me personally, I would have said, and even Israel, you can put yourself on a donor list. That's what I would have said. Even a Haredi. And by the way, you have to keep in mind, there are a lot of rabbis that say it's mutter. So even if you want to say it's Messiah, it's very hard to say, oh, you're a Haredi, so you're condoning or you're giving credence to murder. Come on, a lot of rabbis say it's not murder. It doesn't make sense over here that there should be, you're helping the murderers, you're helping the evil people. The rabbanos are not evil people, trust me. A lot of rabbis are passing that it's okay. So in my mind, I would have said, even in Israel you can put yourself on the recipient list. Because like I said, it's going to happen anyway. So what's the difference? What's the difference? Messiah? I don't see you Messiah. How are you Messiah? You did absolutely nothing. Because you're agreeing, so it shows you're condoning, it shows you agree with it. Come on, a lot of rabbis say it's mutter. It's a big deal. So what's the big deal? So that's what I personally possible. Bottom line, the rabbi's like, that's not the minig. The minig is, in USA, you do put yourself on a list. In Israel, they don't put themselves on a list. That's the bottom line. Again, someone called me up, which no one did, thank God. I would say even Israel put them on the list.
So what does Israelis do? They go to
There is another whole chesbon over here. I don't want to get. There is a whole chesbon, which I think is really, really a little bit convoluted. It's like this: the Haredi puts himself on the list, right? The Haredi puts himself on the list. So now, let's go like this. 9 o'clock. We're about to take the heart out of the dead guy, or not dead, sort of dead, right? The brand dead guy. The Haredi's on the list. So the 9 o'clock, they're about to take it out. Let's say the Haredi in the last minute say, no, I don't want it. I don't want it. What would happen? They'll have to find someone else. It'll take another half an hour. So if you're on the list, it is called you're facilitating, because if once you're on the list and then the last second you decline, you save the guy half an hour of life. You got it? There was Harold, Henry, and Yisroel. Those are the three people who get the heart. Let's say Yisroel is picked. So they're about to take out the heart at 9 o'clock from the brain dead guy. If that minute right before the Yisroel, who's a Haredi, declines, now we got to find someone else now. It takes another half an hour. So basically, because you put yourself on the list, if now you decline, you can save the guy half an hour. This is a chesbon that they have. Why it's called in Israel should be a problem. I think this is crazy. First of all, if that's true, it should come out that all the Haredim should flood. All the Haredim should put themselves on the list in order that the last second they should be able to say, we're getting off the list. And that way they can save the donors for half an hour of life, right? And more than that, I just also think it doesn't make sense. If I wasn't on the list, if it was Harold, Henry, and Larry, it would have been 9 o'clock. But now you think, since you put the Haredi on the list, so now if it's the last second, you're going to the last second, right? You're waiting for the last second, so then the last second you say, I want to be off the list, and that causes now a whole procedure. Now you have to find someone else. You save him half an hour. So now you save this guy for half an hour of life. So wait a minute. If I wasn't on the list, it would have been 9 o'clock. Now that I put myself on the list, I should renege the last second and give him another half an hour. But just make believe I didn't put myself on the list. Just make believe I didn't put myself on the list. If I didn't put myself on the list, they would have died 9. Because I did put myself on the list, and now I could renege. That's called I'm killing him for half an hour. I find it to be a little far-fetched, but that's what some people say. But that's the problem. It's called a messiah a little bit, because bottom line is, if you would have reneged this second, it would have taken another half an hour to find a new donor. You hear that chesbon? A very, very convoluted chesbon. Bottom line is, I would have said in USA and Israel, you can put them on the recipient list, but the accepted norm is in America, you do put them on the recipient list, you rely on Roiv, rely on a million different things, and in Israel they do not, the Haredim do not put on the recipient list. Okay, everybody, so we'll stop over here.